Hello and welcome back to Our Sustainable Journey. This is Steve. Earlier this week, I chatted with one of our food scrap customers. She has a quilting business about cotton and fabrics and things like that, and compost, and how it all works with the food scraps. Can she put that stuff in her bucket, and what's going to happen? So I was explaining how good natural fibers are. Cotton, wool, silk, things like that are just fine. Basically, if it grows, it goes. So if it was once a living thing, it is fine for a compost or a vermicompost system. And so I wanted to, sure, that's all fine and fun to chat about. And I know that it works because I've put cloth and old shirts and things like that were cotton in my worm bins before, but I've never documented it. So I figured, you know what? I bet people would want to see what would happen when you put cotton in a worm bin. And so I grabbed some cotton. So we have old shirt, even older shirt, which is clearly falling apart, and then a newer towel. Don't tell my wife, but this is 100% cotton. These are all 100% cotton. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. At least I hope this one is 100%. I know the t-shirts are. I can't read the tag anymore, but so what I want to do is I want to show you what would happen if we put this full thing in a worm bin. We're going to cut one of these up. We'll cut it into shreds and see what would happen with shreds. And then I want to take this, maybe the smaller one. Maybe I'll cut this one up and I'll leave the smaller one whole. Cut it into shreds and see if that helps process it down, because we have these bins. I can't do this in the CFTs because it would get lost in the shuffle because there's just too much stuff going through there. But these bins that we have, the breeders that we set up, when did we set these up? October 25th. It is now February 4th. So it's been 2 months, 2 solid months. They should have lots of worms going on in there. We'll take a look, see how they're doing. They're probably a little cold. You see the sides are cold, but this is actually not. I mean, it's cold, but it's not frozen. The sides of this are frozen. But we put them on heating mats. So we've got these heating mats here. We use them for our water trays and things like that. We use them for our worm bins, and they keep the worms relatively warm, or not frozen at least, because the temperature in here is, what does that say? On the Fahrenheit side, it's about 20. That's a little cold for worms. That's probably about 40 to 50 degrees below what they want it to be. They want it to be warmer than that. And those mats keep things from freezing. So that's kind of the idea. So I am going to dig around in here, and we'll find a place to put these cloths. So pull back what's left of the newspaper, and we'll find an area. I see there's all the worms. They're huddled together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, oh my goodness. Poor guys. They're like, what are you doing? I'm going to actually, I'm going to put the big one in this one. So I'm going to create a bigger area. They're still working on those seeds from those pumpkins from October. Come on, guys, hurry up. All right, so we'll put this, and it's probably 6 inches by 6 inches. So remember that, write that down. Remember that, and we'll cover it back up. Lots of worms on top of it. I should have weighed it. We're gonna say that it was just a few ounces, because honestly it's probably not very much anyway. So we'll cover it up nice and good. And then we'll remember that today is the 4th. We'll cover it up. You can actually see there's quite a bit of ice crystals on the top as well. We'll put this back on the shelf. I'll go grab another one. We'll do the same thing. All right, so this is the other one that we started on October 25th. There were 10 ounces of worms on the 18th. So, it's a very cool pattern of ice. Neat. All right, so we'll set that one aside. And we'll dig a hole in the middle of this one. Got some peanut shells. Let's see, where are the worms? There they are. They're all hiding. This one's getting dry. Be careful adding water in the winter. There they all are. Because I don't want to freeze them. So you can see there's lots of babies in that worm ball. So clearly they're happy, which is always a good sign. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this one because this one does seem a little bit dry. All right, so put the worm ball over there. We'll make a nice big hole right here. And this one, we will get this raggedy old t-shirt. So we'll put that in there. And I will cover it back up with all the worms that were in here. And then I will give this a little bit of water because it's a bit dry this week. So we have, we use these mats for our cat, the barn cats, and we also have it for the LGDs, the livestock guardian dogs. And so we give them water multiple times a day. And we don't want it freezing because it's, again, 20 degrees out here. And otherwise it would be frozen. But it's not because we use these mats. Lovely, lovely mats. So we'll just sprinkle a little bit in there. It's probably slightly warm because it's on this mat. And you can actually feel, well, I can feel, I guess you can't feel, that it's not hot. Like, it doesn't hurt to touch, but you can tell that it's warm. And so it's enough to keep water from freezing. All right, so we'll close that one up. All right, put it back on the shelf. I'll go grab another one. And last but not least is this bin. This one had 9 ounces on the 20th. I don't think we filmed this one, the count, but this one's actually moist still. You can see the worms are actually crawling the sides. And this is the one that had the plant in it. You can see what they've done to it. They basically spread it out all over and made it into one big mess of castings. So we will dig, and there they all are. Oh, they have just like built up an appetite. Here they all are. They're in the corners. There's a worm ball there. Let me see. Oh, this one's a little dry on that side. The other side was pretty moist. You see them over here. All right. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to find my scissors. There they are. And I'm going to cut this into strips. And we'll make it a little bit finer than the others. So I cut these into strips. Let me tell you, I need fabric scissors apparently for this because shop scissors don't work very well. But then I also cut up some little schnibbly bits to see if that would speed up the worms digging through them. So these are just little tiny little pieces. So we're gonna pop them in a corner like that. And then in the interest of science, I'm going to pop the others in this corner over here. And we'll put some strips. And we'll continue giving them their regular diet, food scraps and whatnot. There. Since they're clearly very hungry. Because they've eaten everything that was in here in the last couple of days. So let me add a little bit of water to this one because it's a little dry on one side. And then that's more than enough. And then we'll check on them in a week, and we'll see how this does. If there's stuff you guys would like to see us feed the worms, let's see. So far, I think we've done pineapples, onions that we've called out specifically, all manner of bedding, and now cloth. I don't have any silk shirts, so I can't say I don't have any silk to use. And there is no way that I could get away with cutting up a wool sweater. So we can't do that with this little experiment. So we're just going to do cotton for now. If perhaps I can find or persuade my wife to give me a wool sweater, or if we can somehow find a silk shirt. Maybe if this was 30 years ago, we could find one, but I don't even know if they sell those anymore, silk shirts. Remember that? That was an interesting trend that I'm glad is gone. So we will check back on the worms in a week and see if they've made any progress devouring the cotton scraps, and we'll see what we can do. And if I can get a copy of the article we were quoted in, I will post that as well, because if y'all are into quilting and stuff like that, the worms can eat the scraps as long as it's natural fibers. So your cotton, your wool, hemp would be another one if you had a hemp material, and silk. So feel free to put those in your worm bins. They will thank you for it. All right, until next time, have a good one. What? How? Did you poop on the fence? Who pooped on the fence? Was it you? No, it can't be you. Your butt's not tall enough. It was you. Yeah, whose poop is that? Is that yours? Think about what you've done.